member sawa ngazu sum the chimla che nga che ani the kesala ngazu sum member sawa cha de go re di shwe yi ani ambo de la so when we talk about broader impact so this particular scholarship thanks to Betsy Gordon and her foundation TANC has been given this scholarship this scholarship fund for the last over 10 years actually. So because of her generosity, her foundation's work, but we've been trying to do our best. The TANC has been trying to do its best to make this scholarship worthwhile, not just for the recipients themselves, but also how this particular scholarship can be impactful for the larger community, right? So, for example, this particular scholarship round, TANC board has particularly been very thoughtful and very supportive in that TANC board has decided that we gave $500 each for the best boy and best girl from amongst the Namchui Kesel students, right? Every year through Sherik Department of Education, there is particular initiative called Best Boy and Best Girl. 아니 롭다 산주기 롭다 차산나로라 데데기 데시시 여레 따디 표중 시리기 균에 제산 디나 디기 균에 그다가 남쪽 계세기 로마 찌비주라 롭투 푸다 부모 크라스 니라 지다 시리 레고라네 표중 시리 레고라네 크라스라 차게 지다 난거레 시리 or the Department of Education of Central Tibetan Administration, it issues a certificate in recognition of the best boy and best girl, but TANC would like to go further and award $500 each, and that money is actually coming out of the Betsy Gordon Scholarship. So I just wanted to put that forward before we move on. So one particular message that we received from TANC board is that we make this scholarship as accessible as possible, or because last year we had 14 recipients, and this year we'll have 18, a total of 20 recipients. So in that we are increasing the number of recipients, right? So that's why. Those are some of the broader impacts, and then we also have some of the amount, $2,500 out of the total bucket of $60,000. That's being sent directly to Department of Education. Shirik Leguna Shagya, Dushiniya, the Tsokchung Gingwene, the Tsokchung Sakasa, the Lobian Gingwene, Tega, the Shirik Leguna, Dushin Gumi, don't get it, the Pegay Lobian, the Digital, Tega Tangorwa, and the teacher, and the Halashita, Kyun Domne, Talocha Shavina, right? And the Tonga Nabia, Didi. So we have a total fund of $52,500 to be distributed among the total of 18 recipients. And then the TANC the administration fees like nominally, because TANC is a 501c3 organization, it's a non-profit. So the non-profits, how the non-profits run? Non-profits can this run. They run basically on the account of charging a little bit of administration fees. So TANC, because it's a non-profit, can absolutely charge up to 30%, right? But TANC is actually charging less than 10% as far as the admin fees is concerned. So it's only charging $4,000, whereas it can actually charge us up to $15,000 or maybe even $20,000. So thanks to TANC again, so that more money can be available to a larger number of recipients. So these are sort of the broader impact that we can share with you, and I'm sure you will also have some questions, so we can attend to those later. Alright, right? Any DJ de la
So, Tonglo just the left. As Kesala mentioned, we had two main objectives. We have two objectives for this year's scholarship program. One was the broader impact that Game Ternla went over, and the other being community engagement. So initially, when we discussed what improvements we need to make for this year's program, we came up with two objectives. One was to lessen the burden on the student. So the change that we made this year was reducing the requirement, the volunteering hours from 40 hours to 30. And the whole purpose of this change is to ensure that the student has more time towards their own studies and their own extracurricular activities rather than spending a lot of time for TANC and the community service, of course, which is quite important. The other change that we want to make is ensuring that the entire 30 hours is dedicated towards the student-led community-based project for the volunteering hours. And so last year we started the program. It was a pilot program where students use their own skills, interests, talents, or their own education to drive a community project where it's serving the community instead of just doing all manual work, which has been before last year. And thanks to the TANC board this year for approving our plan, because this TANC board could have easily gotten 20 hours of help from each scholarship recipient, but they've chosen to forego so that they prioritize the students' growth and their own benefits over what the TANC board needs. So a big kudos to the TANC board. So I wanted to go over the project categories, and before I do that, I want to mention why this community-led or the student-led community-based project is really important. And the primary goal of this student-led project is to ensure that the student is not only benefiting through financial assistance, but we are also enabling them to have or grow their leadership qualities as well. And then also instilling a sense of responsibility of the student to be driven closer to our Tibetan community. So going over the project categories and the project that students can lead to, last year we had 6 categories, which we've carried over this year as well. The first one being youth programs. So in here, the objective is to foster youth engagement within TANC and cultivate leadership skills. This is where students can, for example, last year we had one student who was teaching soccer, how to play soccer for young kids, which is really nice, and I think he received a lot of inquiries on whether he's going to further teach students as such, even for paid, right? And then there was another student who was teaching how to play basketball, and then there was another student who was teaching students at Namche Kete as a teacher's assistant. So these are things that students can work on in this category. For health, we have a lot of students who are studying in the health industry, and this is where we have a lot of also health institutions and organizations in the Bay Area that are providing free health services that we do not know of. So these students can go and research and bring those free services for health to the Tibetan community as well. Last year we had one project where students were helping with clinical awareness as well. In technology, we are trying to harness technology for improved efficiency and community information access. One example is where students can educate the community about the pitfalls of social media. Or a few examples could be where if you're interested or know more about Bitcoin or any fintechs around here in Silicon Valley, that is a great resource for the community. The fourth one is the academics, where you could develop educational initiatives to enhance learning outcomes. So last year there was a really successful project, in my opinion, where there's 3 students who led an entire presentation about college application, how to apply for college, how to do interviews, and how to build your resume. So these are some examples that I could give. In the entrepreneurship, you could utilize businesses as a positive force for community development. One example that I can give was of the same last year, where 3 students worked on building a database of Tibetan businesses in the Bay Area, where TANC can utilize these informations for the benefit of Tibetan businesses, or for TANC, where they can seek Tibetan businesses for help. Then the last one is the other community services, where they can organize cleanup efforts or provide assistance to the elder community. Another example I can give in this category is where one student was studying for a barber license, and he provided free health haircuts to community for free, right? So that was one popular project that happened last year. That's all I have. If you have any questions on how many hours it requires on a community engagement, you can always talk about. Of course, the committee will work with you on how to plan your projects and how to see through it to the end. Next, I think we have application process by Chila, who will go over the grading rubric.
Thank you. So, ngayong chimire testile ngay inchitane this couple ire ke over to the question answer ki section so starting off with the grading rubric, so you can see 6 sections on here, and we give fairly equal weightage to each of these 6 sections that you see on here. And so for going through each of these sections, so first for the academic achievement part, we consider your strong academic record, your GPA, and a recommendation letter that you will be submitting with your application. And then the second part is around leadership and extracurricular involvement. This is more within your school or any. It doesn't have to be within time. It can be anything that you've done to demonstrate how you were a leader, and just doing activities beyond just education. And then the third one is around community service and volunteerism, which is more focused on like TANC, but it doesn't necessarily have to be TANC, but within our Tibetan community, and the impact of the volunteer work that you're doing, and how you're making the world a better place. And then the fourth one is around personal statement and goals. So for that, you are expected to write an essay around personal statement. So within that, we're going to look for the goals that you have for yourself, whether it be educational goals or whether it be leading on to your career goals, and just providing a statement that highlights what strengths you have, what experiences you have, and why you are looking for this scholarship. And the fifth criteria is the communication and interview skills. So within the application, after you submitted the application, we will be having an interview stage. So within that stage, we will consider like how clearly and effectively you can communicate, demonstrating your interpersonal skills, and also how you present yourself during that interview. So this fifth section is solely around when you come in for an interview. And then the last one is relevance to TANC's mission and values, which includes your involvement with the Tibetan language, the culture, any activism that you may have been involved with, or anything that you may have been involved with for TANC and upholding our culture. So that's the 6 sections. Anyways, that's the 6 sections, and we give equal weightage to all 6. And so we've got 4, we've got Kisama as well, but we've got 4 members on the scholarship committee, and each member will be grading with the same rubric in mind, but obviously as we have different experiences and backgrounds, it makes it more fair because we have diverse perspectives when we are grading. And so yeah, each member of the scholarship committee, the 4 of us, will be individually scoring each application, and then at the end we will tally it and then announce the winners based on how highly you score. So moving on to the next section. We're already on step number 2. So we've opened up the TANC application, and now we're having an info session. And so what's left is the application deadline. So the application deadline is November 8th, which is about exactly a month from now. So you have about a month to put everything together, and then after that,